Hey everybody, Jerome Maldonado, and welcome to Real Talk on Real Estate. It's Wednesday afternoon, and I got all of the housing updates for October as we move into November for 2021. And so my duty, my commitment to you guys is to always bring you the latest and the greatest, the news, the information to keep you guys wise on investments and in investing in real estate, buying land, building houses, what's going on in America, and how can you benefit financially from it, and what do you need to protect yourself from. And so a lot of different analytics. There's some discrepancies in some of the analytics depending on where you're looking at it. And so I want to clarify some of this stuff, and then just hone in on all of it so that you guys can make logical decisions. And so one thing, if you were at Real Estate Domination last week, it was an incredible event. Everybody just killed it that was there. I know that Kyle Mitchell, who's never been on stage, conquered his fears, got on stage and just absolutely killed it. Raymond Dabbs, who was nervous, sending me his slideshow and wondering if he was going to what he was talking about was going to be relevant. He hit a home run and just killed it. And Marshall Wilkinson, who never speaks in front of a stage, just absolutely went up there and dominated it with his real live raw attitude and energy. Just really gave the crowd a lot of laughs, a lot of information, and was just brutally honest in so many ways. And that's one of the reasons that we brought him in. So today, I want to bring all of that information that I brought to the stage, that Dr. Alex Mehr brought to the stage, Ty brought to the stage, all of the speakers brought to the stage, sharing with you guys exactly what they're doing, how they're taking down real estate, and how what's happening in the market today is affecting them, right? Or not affecting them, and how they're moving forward. So there's a lot of stuff happening. I like looking at the analytics because I like to make sure that whatever I'm exercising is smart and wise. So one of the things that Ramez and I did this past week is we had some permit-ready projects, and we sat down to evaluate: do we turn dirt on these projects, or do we sell the permit-ready projects that we're getting offers on for substantially larger profits than we had purchased for substantially larger amounts than we had purchased the projects for? And so we sit back and we kind of peel them back in stages. And so one of the things that we do, and in fact, Ty and I were talking about this in Puerto Rico. It's taken us 4 months to build these massive luxury homes. And so we sit back and say, do we have 14 months left? Or do we practice on the side of caution? And do we sell the lots, count our lucky blessings, and move into a new sector? And so Ty and I decided to list the lots, but we're still flirting with the possibilities of building. But I'll tell you, Ramez and I are sitting back going, you know what, there's more profitability in some other sectors. Instead of focusing our energy on what's happening right now on some of the single family home builds, let's go after the big stuff. So here's how the analytics play out for this month. Okay. So the U.S. housing price drops about 0.07%. So it goes down just a little bit. Now, what's the contributing factor to this? Well, in October, it was the fourth month in a row that startups have declined. So what's the contributing factor to startups dropping by almost 1% this last month? So it's not the housing price that dropped. It's actually the housing startup quantity that dropped by 0.7% this past month. And it's the fourth month in a row that new housing startups have dropped. And so what's happened is, one, we're starting to see inflation due to material increases all over the country, right? There's a lot of bottlenecking as far as distribution, products coming into the United States, stuff that's coming into ports, being able to get distributed out. I was sitting down this morning and I'm trying to get gas fittings for a project that for half-inch gas pipe, I couldn't find them anywhere. I literally sat on the phone for an hour, burnt up an hour of my morning, and exercised about an hour of time just trying to facilitate the purchase of these little half-inch fittings. Couldn't find them anywhere. Called our plumbers, and they said, Jerome, you're not going to find them anyplace. We're getting material, but there's like little fittings like that you just can't get anywhere. So we had to make this makeshift stuff to get these gas lines facilitated so we could bury them, but we marked the lines so that we knew where they were at. This way we can go back and do a permanent solution to it down the road. And so builders are having to do this. So one of the big things is holding accountability for that type of stuff at a time where there's products and materials that are not available to us. So what's happening is that new starts are down by 4% for the year. At this time last year, they're down by 4% year over year compared to last October. Multifamily, though, is up by 6.8%. So the amount of multifamily permits that went in this past month is up year on year by 6.8%, but single family is down by 4%. But the permit increases, the people trying to get permits to get these houses out of the ground is actually up by 4%. So even though new starts are down by 4%, the permit submittals compared to last month are up by 4%. So they're trying to get out of the ground. They just haven't been able to. And so, you sit back and go, okay, what's the reason? Is this going to continue like this? And what's going to be the breaking point? So right now, we're in 2021, we're at a 15-year high on housing starts. So this year, right now, we're sitting at housing starts that are in upwards of 12.3 million new startups. Okay, now 1.3 million. Sorry, 1.3 million new startup units. And here's what happens. If you guys looked at some of the graphs in real estate domination, those of you guys who haven't seen the graphs that I put up, I'll put them up and post them for you guys. But you guys will see that historically, from the 1970s all the way to today, every 10 years, on average, the U.S. builds approximately 11 million homes a year. Well, after 2008, the beginning of that new decade, starting in 2010 to 2019, we saw only 6.8 million homes be built in the United States in that entire 10-year span because of everything that had bottlenecked over the recession of 2008. And so builders got scared, realtors got scared, banks were not doing well at the time. Right now, banks are doing extremely well. And so we sit back and now we're trying to make up for lost time. So we have over 7 million homes that need to be put onto the market. And we only have the capabilities of fulfilling a small amount of that. And so even though nationwide, we went in and we're trying to fulfill, we need 10 million homes built every decade. Okay. We need over 11 million, but we're behind by 7 million listings. And so we can't even keep up with the current demand and fulfill what we're behind on. And so what's happened is we're trying to fulfill the gap of inventory from 2010 to 2019 now. And so that's where the big housing shortage has come from. So those of you guys who are asking yourself, where in the heck has this housing shortage come from? It was from the lack of inventory that was built between 2010 and 2019. So look, okay. A lot of what's happening now, the reason that we're down by 4% of new startups is because there's zoning problems. People are trying to facilitate due diligence on zone change to be able to allocate and rezone land for residential use. There's increased land costs, so builders are going in. And if you guys haven't noticed, we've been exercising appreciated land value because our business model works so well. We're able to leverage the growth of the real estate market, which year on year since 2019, we're up 21.8% on housing prices. Okay, here's it's starting to creep on us though, because currently right now construction costs are up by 12.3% year on year. So when people sit back and they go, Jerome, when you're building homes, are you going to be able to afford to build at a profitable rate with increased housing material prices? Well, year on year, we're up 12.3% on material costs across the board on average, and housing prices are up by over 21.8%. Okay, so if you take a look at that, that's a 9% increase on housing prices over materials. So housing prices have still escalated over the national increase of inflation of materials. So that means that builders are still making an additional 9% profit over the inflation of raw materials. So it's still affluent to be able to go out there and still build it. So that's what the point being is that we can go in, we can still build and make more profit. So a house I was making $150,000 on when we were building a single family home that was in the $550,000 range is now selling for over $630,000, where that same house is still costing me now close to about $590,000. I end up making an additional $30,000, $40,000 on that house. So where I was only making 150,000, I can go back out today and make an extra 180,000 to 190,000. So it's still profitable, thank God. Okay, now there is a lack of labor help. There's over 333,000 job openings as of October 30th, 2021, nationwide. In the construction sector alone, 333,000 job openings. Think about that. That's a small city. And so when you sit back and you look at everything that's happening, you think about all of the jobs and stuff that are available right now. Why aren't people working? Because they're still getting government handouts, right? They're still getting government checks and government handouts. In fact, I was over at a friend's house the other day, and I saw one of those state income tax deals come out, and I sat back and go, is that the bailout checks that are still coming? And they go, yes, I love them. And I sit back and go, you gotta be kidding me. People are still getting bailout money from the federal government, and they're still handing out cash right now as we speak. And I can't believe it. In my eyes, I sit back and I look and I say, okay, the pandemic is behind us. Yes, I know the numbers are still high, but you got to sit back, and at some point in time, you got to exercise the fact that you say, okay, the reality is the pandemic is come. We've learned how to live with it. Let's continue to learn how to live with it, and let's play forward, right? But people won't do that, so they're still handing out governmental checks. So hence, there's still 333,000 job openings. Okay, now when we sit back and we look at all of these numbers, right? Let's make some sense out of them. So we have permit increases by 4%. Single family gains are up by 2.7% in just 1 month. 15-year high of startups. And where are these, you know? So we sit back and we go, where do we see a large influx of building happening? So we're seeing a lot in the West, we're seeing a lot in the South, and we're seeing a lot in the Midwest. Okay, we're seeing it primarily in a lot of these areas. Now, there was a decrease this last month of construction startups, and nationwide, their startups were down by over 4%, right? So when you sit back and you go, okay, new startups are down by 4% because people can't get permits. What areas were the biggest areas that were affected by that? It wasn't it wasn't the Southeast. It was the Northeast that was down. Weather could be affecting that. Now it's the Midwest and it's the West Coast. Now, 1.8% of new startups are down in the South area of the country. So you guys got to listen to this. Sit back and go, oh, Jerome, all these numbers are way too much for me to absorb. Listen, here's the reason why. Because when you sit back and you look at this, you sit back and go, where do I want to build? Where's my most affluency? The South has been the biggest growing sector nationwide by far. So you think about the Southeast, Florida, Panhandle going down, Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, you know, all of those areas are doing extremely well. And so you take a look at like Arizona, you take a look at all the South states, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, all of these areas have done extremely well, with the exception of like hyper growth that's happening in like Idaho up north. 1.8% of new startups are down just in the South alone. And so when you think about the reasoning, because of the land costs increasing, the lack of labor, inflation, raw materials, and the zoning time frame that it takes to be able to pull these projects out of the ground, where should you be investing? Well, I'll tell you, we're investing in the West, the Northeast, and more affluent areas. I was sitting back doing research on the Seattle market, the Oregon market, and I was taking a look at the Sacramento, the winery country of the world, over in the West Coast and in the northwestern part of our region. And they're sitting back projecting, they're saying, you know what, we're going to hammer it out. We're plummeting strong straight into 2022. Permit applications are up. The cost of housing is up. The people are starting to migrate from the inner city because the cost of living has gotten so expensive that rural living has become more attractive to people. So in October, the amount of homes listed in rural areas has increased. The amount of homes listed in metro areas has decreased slightly. And most of it is because there's not any more inventory. It's so densely built that in inner city metro areas, it's really tough for anything to come on the market. There's just not a lot of homes coming up on the market because those cities are dense. There's not a lot of raw land to develop. The reason rural areas have become more attractive and there's more stuff for sale is because people migrated out of the cities and they're able to get a better price and more home for their money in sub-rural areas just outside of city limits. And so the amount of new permits, new homes built has migrated into those areas, okay? So new construction year on year is up. From this time in October last year is up by 12.3%. So really good still. We're doing incredibly well. Supply chain should look better in 2022. Okay, the bottlenecking of raw materials coming into ports, the labor situation should start to taper out. And senior economic analysts at PNC Financial in Pittsburgh are telling us, they say, look, by the time we get into 2022, the supply chain that is bottlenecked in 2021 should start letting loose. So a lot of the senior economic analysts are looking at this stuff. This is what they do. This is how they study new trends and what's happening nationwide. And what they're telling us is that things should let up sometime into early part of 2022. So that means good news for all of you guys that are looking at buying land and building houses and that are just getting started today. And the reason why is because you can go out, you can start working on your pre-entitlements, your permits, you're buying your land, getting your civil engineering, and moving forward into new builds into 2022 with more stuff, more materials and raw materials coming out onto the market and all that stuff becoming available. Hence, when it becomes available, the price drops, okay? Now, there's a decrease in affordability still. We went up on our single family homes. Now here, I see a big skew on this. So I looked down at the Home Builders Association and they said that October was up, the median home was up to $380,000 for the month of October. That means that it's up 5.2% from last month. Okay, that's a crazy number. So I go back and I think that the numbers actually from the National Association of Realtors is actually a little bit more in tune with that. Well, this is our local numbers. So for those of you guys who are in our local market, the median home here in New Mexico is $340,000 last month. But nationwide, we are seeing a number closer to $380,000. The National Association of Realtors is showing a number closer to $375,000. The U.S. Home Builders Association is looking at a number closer to $380,000 for the median home price. So ladies and gentlemen, pre-pandemic, the median home price was just under $300,000. And now we're creeping on $400,000 for the average median house price, okay? So we're up right now 21.8% since 2019 and up 8.6% from this time last year in October, okay? Now, this past month, the average home spent about 45 days on the market, which is down by 8 days from this time last year and down about 20 days from this time pre-2019, pre-COVID. So what that means for everybody that's watching this is that there's still a housing shortage. There's no supply. There's no short-term visibility for a shutdown in the housing market. Although analysts are saying prices will increase in 2020 a little bit, and then they'll drop a little bit due to increased interest rates and slightly because of inflation. And then the housing market should soften a little bit. Now, does that softening mean that it's going to soften to a point where we actually meet the needs that we're after? Probably not. So understand that even though when they say that the market may soften in 2022, it's just going to soften in comparison to what's happening right now. Because if you guys take a look back at the October update that I did from August and the August update that I did from September, or vice versa, the September update that I did from August and then August from July, you'll notice that there's always been a climbing appreciation of the average median home prices for the home and appreciation of raw materials. So a lot of increases, not a lot of changes from month over month, just the numbers continue to increase. What this means for you guys is that there's opportunity to continue buying land, building houses, continue investing. For those of you guys who are in fix and flipping, get out of that business, start buying land, building houses, and forget about the fix and flip deal. There's no inventory to fix and flip. Why go out there and start fix and flipping when there is no inventory? Ladies and gentlemen, stop doing the fix and flip game and start getting into the buying land, building houses, and let's get you guys fluently moving towards unit real estate, whether it's storage units, multifamily, small office, small retail, and let's get you moving forward in that direction. So ladies and gentlemen, 2021 has been an incredible year for the real estate. We're going to end the year super strong. Interest rates are substantially lower than what I had anticipated and projected at the beginning of the year. I thought we were going to be in excess of 5%. We're still sub 4%. So what that means for everybody that's buying is that you still get great interest rates. Look, there's opportunity out there. The right time to buy is always. There's never a bad time to buy. If you guys saw the post that we posted today with Ty talks about the skew in the market and the evolution of increasing and decreasing market trends. Ladies and gentlemen, the market variations are inevitable. The thing that all of you guys should be paying attention to is the evolution of cryptocurrencies and how that's going to affect our market as we move forward into the future. That more so than being worried about a market crash on an overinflated market that we still lack in inventory. Home builders are going to be busy for the next few years, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have a decade of opportunity, but the opportunity is not just for me, it's for you. So if you like our content, you want to hear more of it, you want housing updates, even when it's dry, boring, and there's analytical, statistical numbers that even drive me crazy, then give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content just like this, so you're notified every time I'm giving you either incredible information or stressful analytical information that I even hate. But you have to pay attention to it, because if you don't, you lose. And so I pay attention to it in spite of it being boring, dry, analytical numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to the numbers, because if you don't, there's only one person that's going to be affected, and that's you. To continue compounding your success, click below, join us on YouTube for more content. Give us a thumbs up if you like this content. I look forward to seeing you next week on Real Talk on Real Estate. Go out and compound your success.